Today's video we are going to make soap embeds, and you can use these soap embeds. You can use them in soap, you can use them in your sugar scrubs, you can use them in your anything you want. You can use a soap embed. First things first is when you purchase your soap, you want to make sure that it is a low sweat glycerin soap, because if you're putting it in a sugar scrub or you're putting it in a different product, glycerin has a tendency to bead up, and I will show you what I'm talking about. When it is humid, glycerin sweats, so it tends to look like this when it's wet, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just an aesthetic thing. So you may not want this to sweat inside your product, especially if you did something like a bath bomb and the water may activate it. So you just want, well, not the water, because it's not water, it's glycerin, but you might not want that to activate. Or if you have a product and it's inside of a sugar scrub and you don't want it to sweat, because when the customers get it, it will look similar to this. So this is not what you may not want it. So this is why a low sweat formula would work for glycerin embeds. But as you can see, the other side, there's nothing wrong with it. The side that was exposed to the air and the humidity is the side that has the glycerin bubbles on it. But if it does not bother you to have the glycerin, the glycerin residue, see, you can just wipe it off. It's not something that is going to make or break your product. It's something that could be easily wiped off. You can wipe this off with like a paper towel. You can wipe it off with your fingers. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But again, it's just an aesthetic thing. So if that bothers you, then get a low sweat formulation of your glycerin soap. I tend to like the glycerin soaps that are not detergent free. The detergent free ones, they take a longer time to solidify, and I like instant gratification, so I like my my embeds to harden up pretty quickly because I'm making lots of them. You can color your glycerin soap with micas. I do not have to mix this in with liquid glycerin to get the color. But if you do something like a dye, something like this, you would take a scoop of this and a little glycerin, mix it together so that you can get your color together, and then you just add that into your soap, because this will leave spots of pockets of coloring instead of being a uniform color. With the micas just kind of blend right in. Also, if you're using clear soap, the micas will give you a metallic finish, and if you're using a white soap, it doesn't give you that metallic finish, but it does give you the color still. So it's totally up to you what you would like to use as far as your coloring is concerned. For your molds, you can use silicone molds, you can use plastic molds, just something that is easy to pop out. I also do not like to put my molds in the refrigerator so it could solidify harder, because I find that when you do put it in the refrigerator, when you take it out, it does get the beading on it, and that's because you're taking it from the cool air to the warm air, and then you get the glycerin bubbles on the top, or you get the sweating on the top. So something that's easy to pop out, these are good, and also the plastic candy molds are good. Today we're going to make some lemons. I think I'm going to make some chocolate chips, and we're going to make some strawberries because I have some projects that I'm doing, and those are the embeds that I would need for the projects that I'm doing. We are going to just cut up our soap. I'm going to put it in the beaker because the beaker is my favorite thing to use. Cut up the soap, put it in there, and add the coloring, and just pour. It's so simple, so easy, and you can save these for later. You don't necessarily have to use these right away. You can put them in a sandwich bag and store them for later, so you can have, your prep work is already done. So let's cut some soap and melt it down. As you can see, my soap is not a low sweat soap, and it's pretty humid in here, so it's beating up a lot. And that's because of we're having lots of rain and heat, and it's just a hot mess. So I'm going to use this anyway because the beading does not bother me. Also, depending on what it is that you're making an embed of, and you can make embeds of anything you want, but depending on the color that you're trying to achieve, if you want a more vibrant color, then you would go with the clear. If you wanted something a little bit more pastel or opaque, then you would go with the white soap. We're making lemon wedges, so I'm going to go with yellow, and I'm going to melt this down and come back. Take some mica and put it into the clear glycerin soap. Now if you want to fragrance your embed, you can do so by the percentage of fragrance oil you're supposed to use for the amount of glycerin soap that you are using. For me, I do not scent mine. I'm not going to scent mine, not these anyway. So I would like a yellow lemon, and I want it to be translucent, and that's what we have here with the clear. Now if you would like a pastel one, you can go ahead with white glycerin soap, or if you want to have something in between, you can take a little chunk of the white glycerin soap and add that to the clear glycerin soap, so it's not completely translucent and it's not completely opaque, and you still get the vibrant color. I do that with my chocolate chips because with the chocolate chip, if you just use white soap, it'll just make it like a brown but not a dark brown. So if you wanted to have like a deep brown color, then you could take some clear and then you take a little bit of the white and, you know, get your color that way. So this is what we have for the yellow, and make sure that all of your mica is mixed in. And if you didn't use mica and you use the regular dye and you use that with the glycerin, make sure that it's all mixed in. So this is the color that we have. I'm happy with this color, and I'm bringing my lemon molds over, and we are just going to pour it in there. And we'll just wait for this to dry. We're going to do the same thing. Oh, and if you have little bubbles, little air bubbles, all you'd have to do is take 91% alcohol, and I'm trying to use all the soap in here because it's only a little bit. 90% alcohol, and spritz the top. I have alcohol here. The sign, the label is gone, but this is alcohol. And then you see how I have the bubbles right there. The bubbles right there. I'm just going to spritz that, and the bubbles will disappear. Don't spritz too much. Just give it a single, or you know, a single spritz, or just enough until the bubbles disappear. We're going to let this solidify. We're going to repeat the process with red so that we can make some strawberries, and we're going to use clear soap for the red because we want it to be a very vibrant red for strawberries. Okay, so the mica that we're going to use to make red is Really Red mica powder, and this is from Nurture Soaps, and this red is so pretty. It's so red. Usually you can't find a true red mica, but this one is as close as you can get. Now if you want to mix your color with the glycerin and store it for later, you just have to put it in a container where you can put a lid on it and store it for later. This is this pink mica, this pink color. This is this pink, neon pink from Wholesale Supplies Plus. Stir it like that, and then you just take however much you need and put it into your soap, and you can store that for later. And again, you want to just make sure you don't have any color spots at the bottom, because it will show up in your embed. And if you want, it would be much easier to mix this red mica powder in with some glycerin, and you just take, I guess it's not a little equal parts, I guess, of the glycerin and equal parts of the color, and mix that together. And again, for those air bubbles, we just take your alcohol and spritz it, and that will take care of that for you. And to make the chocolate chips, I'm going to mix, I usually use brown oxide. I think I'm out of brown oxide, and I'm going to mix red, yellow, and blue dyes and see if I get a brown, because that makes brown. But I know that works in liquid. I'm not so sure if it'll work in powdered pigment, so I'm going to try that out and see if it works. If it does, and we have something for these chocolate chips. If not, we know that it doesn't work. I'm using this vegetable glycerin, and I got this from Soaper's Choice. And you can use vegetable glycerin from anywhere. Okay, so I'm gonna just use the red spoon since there's red in it. Excuse my gloves. I added a chunk of white to give it a little bit more opaque color. And let's see if this is brown. I'm not even sure. If anything, I will end up using cocoa powder. You can see the blue and the green is pulling up heavy. Let's add a little bit more red to this mix. I'm gonna actually use this red mica. This is a little more red. We probably could, I'm messing around with this. You could definitely use cocoa powder. Alright, looks like we got some action. That's a pretty brown. Nice and chocolatey for some chocolate chips. Alright, so we're just going to test these. They feel solid. They're ready to demold. This has a little red mica on it. I'm just going to wipe that off. Now you have your lemon. If you want to make it look more realistic, you can paint the outside of the lemon rind with mica powder and alcohol. I'm not going to do that. I'm fine with it just looking like a little soap lemon. And if you have any of the soap that went on the outside, you can take the soap scraper and you can scrape it off, or you could just use your fingers and rub against it. So like that. So it's all blended in with the soap. Okay, you guys, so you can use these embeds in other soaps. You can use it in cold processed soap. You can use it in your foam and sugar scrubs. You can use them on top of bath bombs. You can basically use these soap embeds wherever you would use a soap, a bath product, and just give it a little embellishment. And you can basically do this, like I said, with anything. You can do it with a silicone mold. You can do it with a plastic mold. To me, silicone demolds best because you still get all of the detail in it without losing anything. Sometimes you have a hard time pushing the soap out of a plastic mold, the plastic candy mold, but with silicone is a little bit easier. And that's basically it, you guys. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, like it, sign up for the notifications and all that other stuff that you're supposed to do when you like a channel. Tell all your friends about it, and if you have any ideas about any videos that you would like for me to do, please comment below and let me know what I can do for you. Also, I want you guys to look out for the podcast. I will keep you informed. And that is it for today. This is Nikki, and I am out of here. Have a great day.